Life was never normal. Danger, neglect, and abuse are no way to begin life. But that was my reality during my early childhood. Until I was 9, it was a cacophony of mentally and physically abusive storms that tested my very being. Then, for the next 12 years came what I called my golden years, a time of growth, carefree living, and good health, where I found stability and hope with an amazing family that took me in and called me one of their own. Life, as we all know, is unpredictable. My early 20s brought life-changing trials that pushed me to my physical and mental limits. In October of 2010, I fell incredibly ill. After a stint at the hospital, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which turned my entire world upside down and changed it forever. Immediately after that diagnosis, diabetes sent me into a never-ending war that continuously took me in and out of the hospital. Still to this day, I fight to stay healthy, attempting to maintain the proper sugar levels. It was and still is a continuous battle between myself and this disease. On January 6, 2020, my life took another dramatic turn. I lapsed into a diabetic ketoacidosis coma, hovering in and out of consciousness for approximately 30 days. My heart stopped, not once, but twice. I experienced severe organ failure, with doctors giving me a mere 5% chance of survival. Through the darkness, something flickered. Visions, vivid and surreal, danced at the edge of my consciousness. The line between life and death blurred. I floated in a void, sensations both terrifying and serene washing over me. Two distinct experiences stood out, etched into my memory. Near-death experiences is what they're called. I felt myself being pulled towards a light, a warmth unlike anything I'd known. Voices whispered, ethereal and comforting. Then, just as suddenly, I was yanked back. The darkness closed in once more. Only briefly did I regain consciousness. My eyes opened to the blinding glare of the hospital room. Just as suddenly as they opened, they just as quickly closed, and I lost consciousness once again. During the coma, whoever placed the breathing tube severely cut my esophagus, causing me to bleed profusely into my stomach. I eventually aspirated a large amount of blood while in the coma, leading to 5 blood transfusions. Miraculously, I survived. I finally stayed conscious and able to breathe on my own, sometime in early February 2020, where officially I became free from the coma. I spent another 2 weeks in the ICU, recovering and trying to comprehend the global spread of COVID-19, which felt surreal and like a horror movie due to the mixture of lost time from the coma, along with all the powerful drugs I was on. February 2020. As the world outside was grappling with a new threat, COVID-19. News reports filtered through the hospital room, a surreal backdrop to my own struggle for survival. I had lived, but at a cost. My body was ravaged, 50 pounds gone, muscles wasted away. I was so weak that I couldn't lift my head off the pillow or hold a pencil to communicate for the first week after regaining consciousness. Simple tasks, once taken for granted, were now impossible hurdles. The ventilator and feeding tube had caused damage. My esophagus was scarred, making eating, especially swallowing, a daunting and quite scary task, even to this day. Near the end of February, I was transferred to a skilled nursing facility for the next 4 months. By the end of June, I was strong enough that I would finally return home. With excitement bursting, I shortly regained my life. But fate had other plans. In January 2021, a simple surgery went wrong. I woke up with diminished, blurry vision. The cause remains unknown. And just like that, near darkness would soon descend upon me, this time permanently. Now, facing permanent darkness. Coping with this drastic change in my vision, I sank into a deep depression. By the end of April 2021, my vision had worsened to the point where I had no light perception in my left eye and only some light perception in my right eye, with no detailed detection or color vision. After consulting several ophthalmologists, I finally saw a retinal specialist. I was diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy. This condition causes abnormal blood vessels to grow inside the eye, increasing optical pressure and leading to massive bleeds. The bursting of these blood vessels and the subsequent healing process creates scar tissue, which obstructs vision and damages the retina. In severe cases like mine, the scar tissue causes retinal detachment, leading to significant vision loss. Unfortunately, current medical technology cannot clean up the scar tissue or reattach the retina effectively. Despair became a constant companion. The life I had envisioned seemed like a cruel joke. The vibrant colors of the world suddenly vanished. The faces of loved ones quickly faded away. The simple joy of reading a book, once a source of entertainment and happiness, now the mere thought brings sadness. Coming to terms with the likelihood of permanent blindness, I decided to explore the capabilities of the human mind and body. I delved deeply into research on consciousness and its various levels, driven by the knowledge that our brains are powerful and adaptable. I read numerous articles and books and listened to experts discuss their research and experiences in achieving different levels of consciousness. Many of these experts emphasize the importance of meditation as a foundation for exploring consciousness. But even in the deepest darkness, a tiny spark of defiance refused to be extinguished. I had survived the coma, had stared death in the face, and emerged, battered but unbroken. If my body could fight, then so could my spirit. By mid-2022, I became particularly interested in lucid dreaming, astral projection, and meditation. I sought out podcasts that focused on these topics and absorbed as much information as I could. Initially, I did not attempt to practice lucid dreaming or astral projection, partly due to skepticism and my struggles with meditation. Perhaps this darkness was not an end, but a beginning. At the beginning of 2023, I decided to make positive changes in my life. I got rid of my cable television, which I could only listen to, and reduced my involvement in social media. These changes helped clear my mind of unnecessary information. I continued to engage with social media platforms that provided valuable content, such as podcasts and videos. I even decided to look into a more homeopathic approach to my health, instead of continuing with Western medicine and big pharmaceutical treatments. After extensive research into natural remedies, I purchased several natural organic vitamins, which I learned help promote cell growth, nerve growth, regenerating nerve damage, retina health, and many more aspects of what these medicines can help regenerate within my body. If these natural remedies could help others, could I too harness their power to find a way out of the darkness? My personal encounter with mortality during the coma took on a new importance as I explored accounts of near-death experiences. The vivid visions I observed while unconscious left me with an insatiable curiosity, and I yearned to acquire as much knowledge as possible. The sense of peace and interconnectedness you feel in every fiber of your being, the reports of encountering deceased loved ones, these were not isolated incidents. Were these experiences merely hallucinations? Was it simply the dying brain's attempt to make sense of its own demise? Or could they be glimpses into a reality beyond our current understanding? If consciousness could indeed survive bodily death, then perhaps it could also transcend the limitations of physical senses. Perhaps true sight was not limited to the physical eyes, but extended to the use of our third eye, but resided within the mind itself, waiting to be awakened by the activation of the pineal gland. Yet more questions arose. Can the regimen of vitamins I extensively researched aid in the use of our third eye and possibly activate our pineal gland? After purchasing this regimen of vitamins, I first started off slowly by taking half of them for a week, then stopping that half, and the next week taking the other half. By the third week, I was taking all of them at once. Very soon after taking all of these vitamins, something peculiar happened, which coincided shortly after when I began to meditate. I always knew that I could sense other people's emotions with hands, but I never really looked into it. However, the ability intensified afterward. Something else happened, something stranger, something hard to explain transpired, which occurred immediately during a meditation session, which brought forth so many unanswered questions, in which three particular questions came to the forefront of my mind as they persisted in demanding an answer. After extensive research, the question still remains unanswered. The unanswered questions is whether what happened that day was a figment of my imagination, whether what I observed was real, and what does it all mean? I don't remember the exact date I began, but what occurred that day is hard to explain and hard to believe. It is the catalyst that set me off on this journey of exploration of my consciousness. Although I do recall it was at the beginning of 2023. My initial attempts at meditating were inconsistent and frustrating. I struggled to clear my mind and maintain focus. Despite these challenges, I persisted with a newly cleared mind, free from useless information drawn from social media, along with consistently taking this new regimen of vitamins. With a mixture of excitement and surprise, I did notice some positive effects on my body, particularly a clear mind that was aided by the vitamins, but nothing nearly as dramatic as what transpired on this particular day. My journey into the world of consciousness was not without its skeptics. Some family, friends, but mainly my doctors, were not really supportive while urging me to be realistic and to focus on adapting to my blindness rather than chasing what some perceived as fantastical notions. But something deep within me, a newfound sense of purpose, urged me forward. My exploration into consciousness consistently pointed me towards meditation. Discovering that numerous cultures throughout history had cultivated these practices, claiming their ability to calm the mind, expand awareness, and even unlock hidden potentials. At first, my own skepticism held me back. Meditation seemed so passive, so esoteric. But the more I delved into the science behind meditation, the documented changes in brainwave activity, the increased gray matter in areas associated with focus and emotional regulation, the more fascinated I became. Meditation, I learned, was a method to train the mind, to sharpen its focus and expand its perceptual abilities. So I tried and tried without success. Until one night, after weeks of unsuccessful meditation attempts, I managed to break through what I can only describe as a mental block. I finally experienced a successful session, lasting about 10 to 15 minutes. It felt like I was in an altered state of consciousness, something I'd never experienced before, but extensively understood due to my prior research. Before this breakthrough, my early attempts at meditation were, to say the least, frustrating. Sitting still, even for a few minutes, felt like an impossible task. I was accustomed to constant stimulation, with racing thoughts, worries, and an endless to-do list. But then my mind began to slow down. This time, a guided meditation provided a focal point for my wandering attention. Gradually, I started to notice subtle changes. Fleeting moments of stillness began to emerge. The constant chatter in my mind quieted, replaced by a sense of spaciousness and presence. I became more aware of my surroundings. Sounds seemed sharper and more defined. I could feel subtle shifts in temperature and the gentle movement of air around me. Near the end of this session, something inexplicable happened. Out of nowhere, I began to see undulating blobs of colors floating in and out of my field of vision, spanning the colors of the rainbow. Astonishingly, when I opened my eyes, the vivid colors persisted, floating and changing in my field of vision. From that point on, those undulating blobs of color appear every time I meditate. They also appear at random times during the day when I'm doing nothing. When it happens randomly, it lasts only for short periods, anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. This experience is crucial to why I'm on this journey, trying to understand what's happening to me. That same night, I lay down immediately after the meditation session, hoping to observe the blobs of color, but they quickly disappeared. Frustrated, I fell asleep listening to an old episode of Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM about astral projection. Upon waking after about 3 hours to a different episode, I noticed flashes of color with my eyes closed. These flashes developed into my first lucid dream, which was not only my first lucid dream, but also the first time I consciously induced one. With these blends of life changes, vitamin regimen, meditation, and the transition from random undulating blobs of color to a lucid dream, ignited this journey of exploring consciousness, lucid dreaming, astral projection, and meditation. I was left awestruck, humbled by the boundless capacity of the human mind. Western medicine, despite its advancements, couldn't offer lasting solutions for my condition at this time. Doctors provided explanations and diagnoses, but no real hope. Their treatments, though necessary, felt like temporary fixes and were often painful. They addressed symptoms, but never the root cause. Disillusioned, I felt a growing urge to explore alternative paths, to tap into the body's innate healing capacity. My research led me to holistic health, a realm where ancient wisdom meets modern science. Delving deeper into ancient medicines and remedies, these traditions viewed the body as an integrated whole, a delicate balance of physical, mental, and spiritual energies. They proposed that disease arose from disruptions in this balance, from blockages in the body's natural flow. Despite challenges, I've found solace and purpose in exploring consciousness. Meditation is now a key part of my daily routine, bringing inner peace and clarity. Even with a few years of practice, I am still learning and have just begun to uncover what our consciousness is capable of. From the early beginnings of my life, through pain and sadness, evolving into happiness, growth, and good health, then transforming into serious medical issues, staring death in the face, and finally facing permanent blindness in my short life so far, I have transformed into an explorer of the conscious mind, leading me to start this YouTube channel, Blind Psychonaut. This is my story and what led me to this journey. I hope you start your own journey and continue to watch and join this channel. Remember, close your eyes and let your third eye guide you. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, Blind Psychonaut.